Welcome to the WellPlayed DLC podcast, powered by SteelSeries Alias microphones, but more on that later. I'm your host, Zach Jackson, and joining me tonight for this first episode back of 2024 is James Wood.
Howdy, gamers.
Adam Ryan.
Hello.
And Nathan Hennessy.
G'day.
How are we all going? Welcome back. Lovely to see your beautiful faces.
Yeah, up night driving. Sweaty. Very warm.
Well, you're looking good, mate.
We had a cool change roll in, actually, so I'm in a hoodie, which is quite nice.
Yeah, I saw that before. That was odd.
Yeah.
How cool change are we talking about? Like 20 degrees?
Oh, I feel like we talked about this before, but I don't really do numbers. I'm more of just feel it out, see how it goes.
You're a
temperature vibes only.
Vibes guy.
You're a vibe guy.
Yeah. Yesterday was like hot vibe. Today is cool vibe.
So much so that he's in a hoodie, which seems absurd to me, but
Yeah,
he's
But here we
repping
are.
it.
No sweat either. It's great.
All right, first thing, I have a
I wish.
story for you. I want to kick this off before I forget because I forgot and then I remembered. So, now that I've moved to the northern suburbs,
He's found him.
I had my father come over for my birthday last week, and on my way back from the airport last Sunday,
Oh, no.
I saw a clown at the traffic lights.
Why are we starting the year like this?
At the traffic
Street?
lights. Yes, it was Bell Street.
It was Bell Street.
And I wanted to take a picture, but
Not so
unfortunately,
easy, is it?
well, by the time I realized that he was there, like the lights had gone green because I was a few cars back, and I saw
Once
some
the
guy.
lights go green, you got to like drive around him. Yeah.
Well, no, I saw like this guy kind of walk to the side. I didn't really pay much attention then when I drove past him on the side of the street. I saw him there and I was like, this guy is in a fucking clown outfit. And I was like, oh no. Nathan was right this whole entire time. We thought he was just smoking in the bloody car fumes, but they are real.
Not mutually exclusive, mate.
Yeah, all right. So that's how I kicked off my year. So how's everyone else's Christmas, New Year's break and?
Well, how are we meant to follow that?
I mean,
Honestly.
I'm so happy for you. Yeah.
Nathan, how's the Philippines?
It was rough, mate. I mean, beautiful country, but like right off the bat, I copped myself some real bad Baguio belly. Like, I was up in this place called Baguio, and I must have been patient zero for a gastro outbreak.
Jesus.
Because after that, like the mayor and like 20,000 other people got gastro the following week. And then, I spent like New Year's Eve in hospital. Like, I was real proud of that. Food poisoning. My constitution did not hold up over that trip well at all. So I'm still in recovery phase. But, lovely people. Everyone was super, super nice. But the food fucked me up.
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
So you
Clowns and diarrhea. This is how we're
Oh,
starting.
mate.
the
Yeah, exactly.
2024 potty.
2024 granted my body the ability to wee out my butthole, and it burns, so I wasn't pleased for that. But I'm glad that it's over now.
would you recommend the Philippines?
If you got a stronger constitution than I, hell yeah. And considering how white we are, probably not you guys, eh?
Yeah.
Nope.
James, how was your break, mate?
Yeah. It was good. It was good. Just nice and relaxing, Not much going on, which was a nice change of pace after the year that we all had here together on the old website. Finished a bunch of games I've been meaning to get around to. Finally platinumed Fallout 76. So
You platinumed it?
Why?
Yeah.
Up your sleeves?
yeah, oh look, I've been chipping away at it. It's been my little totally not depression game. And now it's done and I'm cured and everything's great.
Can
So
I?
it
Turns out the
Complicated.
depression was because of Fallout 76.
Oh.
I wouldn't let Ralph
Yeah.
know that you've got the platinum.
No,
game.
well, look, I want to write about it at some point. There's this narrative that like they fixed it. They didn't. It's terrible. It's garbage. But yeah, I played so many good games over the break as well. It's so bizarre that I'm choosing to lead with this, but that's the first thing I think of when I think about what I did over that holiday break. So there you go.
What did
He's
you?
countering the big
what's
Bethesda
a
narrative.
what's a big game? Good game that you finished?
I did Haven, which is
Oh,
a
yeah.
like weird little sci-fi gliding slash narrative experience. Absolutely loved it. They did an update where you could play as a queer couple as well, which for me is what sort of drew me to it in the first place. Because I think the narrative actually goes a long way to support a queer read on that sci-fi world text that they built, and so it just worked really, really well. I adored it. I also did Season, Letter to the Future, which I
Oh,
liked
nice.
quite a bit.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Good little
Yeah,
game, that
good
one.
games.
Well, I've only played, I think, half of it. And then
Okay.
moved on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bummer about its lack of success, but
Yeah. It's tricky, though. It's tricky when you're one of those
it
small
is.
little studios.
hmm
Speaking of small little things, Adam, how are you?
Don't know how to take that. Good, mate. Good. My my holiday season was much like James's. It was very relaxed. Key and I didn't go anywhere, didn't see anyone. We just stayed put, and it was wonderful. Then I got the flu for New Year's, just to,
Lovely.
welcome in the new year with sickness. But I, for the first time ever, I think I've played and finished more than one of my pledge games, because that was my target over those couple weeks, and I finished Callisto, which was a decision of mine to swap that out for, what did I swap it for? It was the Council. I regret my decisions.
Yeah.
Zach, I'm sorry.
It's
I
all-
wanted so
Mate,
badly
I tried to
to
get
be on
you to
board with
play.
you.
Well, I would have rather you played the Council, so don't
Zach would have rather.
Yeah, oh, for sure. But I wanted to join you on loving Callisto, and I thought the opening 20 minutes were great, and that's it.
So opening
game
20
is-
minutes is certainly something. Yeah.
That game's rubbish. It is
Yeah, I don't
rubbish.
remember, but
But I also finished A Plague Tale: Innocence, which is fantastic. That game is brilliant, and I'm man enough to say it. I'm sorry I didn't listen to you sooner. I should have,
good man.
and I'll own up to that. And I've started Requiem, but I'm very, very early doors. But I'm working my way through.
Yeah, I think Requiem's going on the pledge list this year.
Have you played the
So you
first
might-
one? You played the
Yeah, like I think I knocked that out of the park last year, like January. I think that was my Christmas game last year.
and very, very pretty game as well. A very good looking game.
Certainly stands out. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It should be on, both of them should be on James's. I might.
They are, and I saw that Requiem was on the PlayStation Plus free game of the month thing, so that
Best
was
month in
a
a
nice
minute.
get. Yes, yeah, because I think Evil West was there as well, right? That's
was.
a hell of a double whammy. Both of those are on my list to play, so yeah.
Cool.
Terrific.
Very good. Well, yeah, the more people that play A Plague Tale, the better. And James, we'll talk about one of your games in a minute, but it's very, very similar. It's very similar to The Last of Us, I think, in the way that it's directed and
interesting.
designed, and yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
little rat roguelike.
oh, can you imagine? That would be
Players.
yeah, right. Well, the ending, actually, without spoilers, the ending of A Plague Tale: Innocence, Adam, how did you find it? The final sequence. The final sequence.
Yeah, it was fine.
Something
It
about
was-
an athletic shark.
I think it is okay. I think like the closing moment, like the cutscene afterwards, is cool. I think that the way it's very quick and sharp. But yeah, the lead up to it, I definitely played it.
Something.
Good.
Anyway, let's get off that.
All right. Well, speaking of those things, James, you have played and reviewed The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered.
I have.
You have. The review is on the website now. 8.5 big ones.
Yep, get around it, so we say.
Get around it indeed. Talk us through that, because it's a polarizing review in some regards.
Yeah. Very much so. Yeah, so it's The Last of Us Part 2, but it's been remastered. I think it adds a whole bunch of visual fidelity modes, or not modes, but like additional visual fidelity stuff to the existing modes. There's a couple of like nice things in the back end for further accessibility options, which is great. Definitely brings it up to scratch with what you'd imagine a PS5 game looks like, although the original still looks like a PS5 game to me anyway. I played them both to sort of get a bit of a overall impression, and that original is aging like fine wine, so there's no real issue there. It just bolsters it really. All that stuff is great, wonderful, no notes. The reason this review has become sort of a thing is because of the addition of the roguelike mode, No Return, which I found morally repugnant. I'm not really sure where to begin on that one. It is, I mean, it's a roguelike mode, so you get to choose from a list of popular Last of Us characters, which is a strange sentence already to kick us off. Once you've chosen your character, so I ran with Abby a fair bit, and she had like melee proclivities because, of course. You pick your character and you get put into a small little 3D space safe house zone. From there, you get to choose short, distinct, kind of contextless missions where you fight either waves of clickers or waves of the Seraphites or whoever ends up showing up. In between waves, you get to unlock things like perks and additional weapon slots. It's the action systems of The Last of Us compressed into a roguelike mode. And it functions. Like it works because it's Naughty Dog and they know how to put together a mode. And sort of the turning point, I think, in my review is when I talk about the fact that when I was playing it, I found myself having fun eventually. And that fun to me was just completely at odds with what the whole point of The Last of Us was as an experience. To me anyway, right? This is my take on it. But The Last of Us Part 2 especially I found was, it's a game that has a lot to say about violence and about the way that we treat each other and the things that we do for the sake of revenge and personal quests and all that good stuff that we kind of largely enjoyed at the time and that were sold on this game sort of being a thing for adults that says things seriously and takes itself seriously. And I think to take that game and bolt on a contextless violence simulator roguelike mode for the sake of charging, 119 Australian dollars for this thing. I'm assuming it's a brand new PS5 game, so it's probably going to be up there.
No, I think it's like 80, isn't it?
80?
Or 89. Okay. I think maybe someone better fact check that, so...
Probably have a look. Yeah. But the point remains, right? It exists to bolster the value proposition of this product, right? And I think that it's a choice that's been made in service of capital P product as a concept. And if you're okay with that, more power to you. That's totally fine. I understand why. The reason this has an 8.5 on it, right, is because it is a good product. It's hours of new content to play. It's well put together. Awesome. I just think it's a bit of an affront to the original intention of The Last of Us as a work of art. And there's also obviously Neil Druckmann's inspiration for the game coming from his time in the West Bank in his childhood and sort of his views on Palestine and the Israel stuff. And it's just messy. It's a really, really messy remaster because I think it bolts on a mode that just fundamentally kind of sucks as a work of art. There's also costumes you can unlock now. So you can have Ellie in a full astronaut suit for the harrowing finale of that game. It is one of the worst things I've ever seen. And yeah, like it's optional. Sure, I get it. But that it's in there at all, to me, speaks to the intention behind this thing from, Sony and PlayStation as a publishing house and Naughty Dog as a developer house. It's the productification of the art that they've been selling themselves on for the past decade or so. And I just really, really did not like it very much.
I've played a little bit of it, and I remember we spoke before. I think we either both played it, and you were kind of like, oh, it all sounds fucking strange and it's weird. I think we had this conversation in Singapore even. And I was like, mate, it's a video game. It's, it is what it is. Like but I think once you actually play it, then it kind of, it clicks in that this is strange. Like this is gamifying this violence, I guess, even though, it is kind of already gamified, but it did feel a bit weird and a bit odd. Like even when I was playing it, I was still trying to play it like I would play the main game anyway. Like I was still trying to stealth around and stuff. And I got fucked up pretty bad in the second mission that I chose the first time. which is the clicker one, like the warehouse or whatever, or the garage, or
Yeah, I think the way it works is that it kind of spans into two different paths, and
Yeah.
both paths have randomized sort of encounters
Right,
placed
yeah.
along them. Yeah.
because like you get like a 20-second, 15-second window before the wave starts.
Yeah.
And I kind of just fucked around on my phone, and then it's like, oh, it's starting, and then all of a sudden there's like things like running at me, and I'm dead. But
yeah.
no, I definitely after playing it, I kind of could I could definitely agree with you on that it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, it's just a really odd, like, look, I love video games as toys as much as I love video games as art. I think both can exist often in the same space, and that's totally wonderful. But like, when you begin this mode, like Abby just materializes in this empty room, or whoever you've chosen, and just fires off a little like, okay, let's do it. And it's so it's so gross to me. It's characters and like from an actual story that we got told and that we all got invested in. And like people debate the quality of The Last of Us Part 2 as a narrative, and I think they rightfully should. I think over the years, even my feelings on it are changing, but it doesn't take away from the fact that like it was a serious work at the time, and it has been broken for the sake of whatever this new package is. And it's really bizarre. And I think the conclusion of that review being that, we often debate, do we rate things based on their quality as a product that a consumer can go and buy, or as a work of art? And the score on this review is for the consumer, because this thing is a quality product. Fantastic. I hate it for what it is, though. And that's what the bulk of the review is about. So it's definitely been a bizarre thing. There's been a bit of, I've had some conversations with other critics today about how we're going about scoring this one. And definitely a learning experience, I think.
I think on the score wise, I don't know if this factored into your thinking at all, but that base game, like the main chunk of what you're buying, is still a good game, like a good story there. Yeah. So and just on the no return and how it doesn't kind of fit, if you compare it to something like Mercenaries, right? That kind of makes sense in the way that the Resident Evil games are played. They're quite, not goofy is not the right word, but they're over the top. They're action
They're
games.
schlocky.
Yeah.
They earn that mode.
So you can see like Leon going through, the village in RE4, just killing a bunch of, because that's basically what you do in the game anyway, right? So, yeah. But the other stuff, there is some cool stuff that does come with it as well.
I always forget about that other stuff. So there's also what they're calling the lost levels, I think, which is 3 levels that you can play through in various stages of development. These are things that were cut from the game as well. As you walk around these kind of like half-finished environments, there are little orbs floating around. You can click on those, and they play a bunch of developer commentary. That stuff unequivocally rules. I think more studios should give us more of a look at the, especially in different stages of development, product of a game, because I think what a lot of people assume a game looks like 6 months out from launch, or even a week out from launch, is just fundamentally not the reality of how these studios end up developing these things. And I love that look behind the curtain. There is an additional I think cutscene commentary that can be played throughout the actual campaign itself. And this re-release is being used to launch Grounded 2, which is the making of documentary. Grounded 1 was one of my favorite video game documentaries of all time. It was such a great behind the scenes look at the process that Naughty Dog went through. And I listened to a podcast where one of the video editors is actually on that show, and he was talking about that Sony really gave them a really unfiltered behind the scenes look at what happened with the development of this game. I don't know if that's going to touch on anything I think people might want that to mean, but I guess we'll find out when it drops.
Yeah, the lost levels are they are very cool, but they are very short. So if you
very short,
it's probably like 20 minutes in total, I reckon, across the 3 levels of actual experience time or hands-on time. But yeah, like it is very cool, and I think more games should at least do the commentary where you can play the game with like director commentary, where like certain moments trigger certain, like you'd get a film, you'd buy a Blu-ray or a DVD, or maybe not a DVD now, but you'd buy the Blu-ray and it would have, director commentary throughout the film. Because there is some cool shit in those lost levels, right? They talk very, very quickly. Adam, before you jump in, I can't remember which one it is, but they talk about how like things went through various like iterations of development. Like they tried to
Mhm.
do this and do that, and then eventually they changed it. So if you've played The Last of Us Part 2, which we all have, we all have, the snowball fight at the start where you're that came from another idea that they had, which you kind of play through, which is, kind of neat. Question.
Great.
You've kind of answered it in a roundabout way, I think. But the lost levels, you do actually physically play through them, yeah? It's not just like a is it like a set piece that plays out in front of you, or are you partly in control of what's happening? Do you walk through it, or okay, cool. Yeah, sweet. Yeah, that is really cool.
I'd say it's more.
There's a half finished. Oh, sorry, go on.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say it's pretty much just traversal, really. Like you don't really do anything other than
yeah. I think I think that maybe speaks more to, because I know that it's kind of been and gone now, but there was a moment where it seemed like director's cuts were going to be the new like Game of the Year edition. That's kind of that's all they really eventuated to be, is just kind of the same game but with the DLC.
Yeah.
But I like the idea that, because that very much feels more like a director's cut style thing. It's like, this is what, if we had the time and we didn't have to worry so much about pacing or, making sure the tone is correct throughout the entire time, that these things may have been in the game. I think that's really fascinating. And to hear that it's in different levels of development, I think is really great, because they very much could have, gone through and touched up and finished those levels easily to tack them back in. But yeah, I kind of like that they've left them there. That's that's really cool. Really, really cool to hear.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. You can read James's review on the website. It's only, if you own the PS4 version, it's only $20. So for $20, it's probably not too bad if you want to play through it again. And yeah, I think more people than not will enjoy the no return mode.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I say it's well made for a reason. Like it is a well constructed game mode, and I think that a lot of people will get a lot of fun and time out of this thing as well. Also, like you mentioned Resident Evil before as well. It reminded me that like they pushed out free PS5 upgrades for those games, right? That like dragged those visuals sort of up to PS5 standards. And I think that it would have been nice to see a PS5 visual fidelity patch separate from the product that you now have to spend $20 to get 4K ray tracing going on in this thing. I think that is a little...
Didn't they... What was the patch they had before? Was it just a 60 FPS patch?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because this game... So the new TV that I got supports HDMI 2.1, and this does do the 120 hertz. So it looks pretty cool in 120 FPS, so...
Resi 4 also added a complete VR mode for it as if for free, just to throw that on the pile of things. That
good guys, Capcom.
Yeah, right.
Love
and
those
then
lads.
then doing all the DRM.
That is my understanding is that it's pretty grossly over-reported, but I need to do some more reading on that.
He just wanted to be devil's advocate because he loves it.
Mate, Capcom are my boys. Shout outs. Anyway, let's move on to something else. Speaking of boys that James likes, let's go to Prince of Persia.
Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. So I did the preview for this sometime last year, and I kind of came away being like, yeah, that's immediately one of my most anticipated games of 2024, and that held true. This thing fucking whips. It is such a fantastic, not Ubisoft product. So this is Ubisoft Montpellier, who are the folks behind the Rayman Legends, I believe. So this is a studio with like legitimate pedigree in platforming, and it is very much bearing fruit here. Like to return Prince of Persia back to its semi-side-scrolling adventure roots, you've got a Metroidvania this time around with incredibly precise platforming, oddly satisfying and layered combat, incredible boss encounters, a decent story. I think like I spent about, 300 words of my preview talking about how I was excited to see where this story goes. It's fine. It's whatever. It just kind of exists. But the characters are relatively likable. Voice performances are okay. The English ones are a bit flat. I'd probably recommend doing the Farsi dub. It is beautiful, love it. Yeah, I was so thoroughly impressed by this thing. Where do we want to start? Because there's a few things we could talk about with it.
Wherever you want to start.
Great, excellent.
We love direction.
Well, you run and you jump a lot, as you do in a platformer. Yeah, I'm historically really bad at platformers. This game does a really good job at sort of slowly educating you on its systems and allowing you to grow more comfortable before throwing you a challenge where at first someone of my skill level with a game like this looks at it and goes, I'm never going to be able to accomplish that. And then I've accomplished it in a couple of minutes after a few kind of failed attempts. It's such a liberating feeling to have a game hype you up, basically. Like it does such a really good job of adding additional powers on top of that. Obviously, this is the Prince of Persia franchise, so we're doing some time fuckery. He has the ability to kind of like make a crystallized clone of himself, move to wherever you want, and then you can warp straight back to that clone. You can dash through time, technically. You can warp around reality to make different platforms appear, and eventually by the end of the game, you're using all these powers within like split seconds of each other to get through a particular puzzle. And again, it should be overwhelming. And at times it is. This can get quite difficult, but it just works by the end of it. The game also has these incredible accessibility options. You can adjust so many different sliders for stuff like platforming damage, combat damage, parry timing. Eventually, you can even spawn little portals to get past a particularly difficult platforming section, which I loved. I don't think I'd be able to finish in time if it wasn't for that. I'm happy to admit that. Yeah, so the platforming is really good. The combat is equally good. You've got a thing called an Athra Surge where, successful parries and hits on enemies build up a little bar you've got on the bottom of the screen, build it up to 3 distinct different levels, and at each level you get a flashier, bigger attack. This is all very much stylized, kind of like a Saturday morning cartoon. It's got a very stylized, cartoonish look to the whole thing, and so attacks are frequently very like Smash Bros-esque, where you get like text across the screen or like a big splash of color. It's so vibrant and exciting and fun. It was really hard for me to find much of anything to fault about this thing. It's just an incredible little experience to kick the year off.
And it's only $69.
Quick one for you, James. Wait,
Sorry?
what?
It's only $69.
Yeah, and that's
every
it. Like,
single one of those dollars too.
Yes, exactly. I think this is something I brought up in my review, but the idea that Ubisoft effectively like spearheaded AAA creep, right? Where everything that we don't particularly care for in this industry can in a lot of ways be traced back to a lot of the trends that they themselves kicked off. And to see them give a small studio the kind of reasonable scope, I guess, to fit within a particular box, and then you can charge a little bit less for it. Ideally, hopefully nobody crunched to get this done. Like, not everything has to be a $1 billion animated cutscene. We can just have a humble, really well put together game. And I hope it does well, because I think Ubisoft should learn the lesson from this.
Nathan, do you have a question?
Yeah, James, is there much in the way of character progression here? Or is the game fairly structured in how it gives you your upgrades and that? Like, can you is there any like grinding or anything you can do?
Yeah, a lot of them are tied to the story. So like different weapons you get very quickly in quick succession as part of the story in the beginning, and then the Athra Surges and the the kind of time powers. I think at a certain point you can go in a couple of different directions, but for the most part you're going to be on a relatively linear sort of uptick of power here.
Absolutely.
You've got the kind of basic, like, you can increase damage and you can increase like the amount of damage you can take and things like that through some like collecting the time crystals and stuff. But there's not much else in the way of like abilities and stuff that you can. There's no like branching trees, I suppose.
Like particular builds.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
cool.
How much have you played, Adam?
I'd say maybe three, maybe 4 hours of it. I'm way off, because the game is actually deceptively difficult, but accessibly so, like James was saying. Like, the combat is not hard to understand. Like, depending on where you point the thumbstick, you can like throw them up for a volley, or you can smash down for like a ground pound attack, and it all feels very natural. Like, you don't really need a tutorial almost. Like, I remember I played this at PAX, and in that environment you're given a controller and it's kind of off you go. and I didn't feel out of place. Like you just kind of innately know how to play the game. And yeah, it's fantastic. I cannot wait to play more, and yeah, I see myself playing it for a long old time. It's great. It's really, really good.
Cool. Very nice. Well, James, you gave it a 9.5. The review is over once again on the website. I'll very quickly go. I played a game called The Night is Grey. It's a little point-click game I've been keen for quite some time. It's been like 7 years in the making. I think it's been on my wish list for like 4 or 5 years. It's basically you play as this old guy. You play as this guy who like stumbles out of the woods. He's running from these wolves, and he comes across this young abandoned girl, like this young like 6, 7, 8-year-old girl, and he's like, well, you're not going to survive with these wolves out here. You better come with me. Her mum has not returned. Let's go and find your mum, and we'll take you to your grandparents in this village. And basically, so that's kind of the story. But there's also another sort of underlying sort of theme that goes on here, and that's a little bit like mental health and stuff like that. And that goes on because Graham, who's the main guy, he's not very likable. He's kind of a bit of a dick, but he also like you kind of get the impression that he's just, I don't say challenge is not the right word, but he just doesn't know how to deal with like certain like social like situations. Like he's clearly not been around kids that much, so he doesn't really know like she's like kind of sad sometimes, and he doesn't really know like what to do to kind of. He's just like it is what it is, mate. Like you just gotta, life's hard kind of thing. Anyway, it's about 12 hours long. I liked it at the start, but the puzzles can be quite hard, but I think hard, but too hard. So there are solutions that just don't make sense. There's some logical stuff that is just illogical. It doesn't so there's one puzzle kind of, or one part it's kind of halfway through the game maybe, where you see this pole with some nails on it, and you have to poke holes in an object, but the lights are off, but you can see the nails, right? And he goes, oh, there's nails here, blah blah blah. But then you try and use the object on the nails, and it's like, no, it can't be done. So you have to actually have the lights on, but there's no like. Sometimes the game gives you like little subtle, like Graham will say certain things that kind of give you an idea that you have to go and do something. Other times it just doesn't tell you anything, and you're just left to like trial and error. So there's one time where I was farting about in this maybe in the mine. There's like a mine section, and I could not figure out like what to do. And then only by chance that I went and spoke to the girl. Like I went and spoke to the young girl just to see, have a chat. And then she was like, oh, I found this thing. And it's like, I've been looking for half an hour kind of thing. So that's kind of that's one side on it, because there was some of the puzzles just were quite challenging. One of them I actually had to speak to the developer, because I was like, I just don't understand. Like I don't understand what I'm meant to be doing here. So, and they were super nice, but yeah, I gave it a 6.5 because the ending, it kind of has this story where in the trailer, you'll see this wolf and looks like a person starting to come out of the wolf. So you're like, oh, maybe it's werewolves, maybe it's something cool, maybe it's something like that. Ending kind of and also in this like little village, I think it's in the late 70s that this game's set, but in this village that they're in, it's like a little there's like a mine, and all this lore that you read and these notes and stuff kind of says that something bad, like something really bad has gone down, the mine's abandoned, but it just kind of ignores all that. Like in like the two-thirds of the way through the game, it kind of just goes nah and just moves off in a whole different direction. And then the ending is a twist, but it's kind of you don't really it's one of those twists where it's like it's up to your interpretation of what this twist is, and I think they've gone down a generic route. So you'll know what I mean if you ever do play, which you probably won't, but yeah. Anyway, 6.5 out of 10 for that one. You can go and read the review if you would like.
Yeah, nice.
Very good.
All right. Speaking of another game with kids, Adam, you have...
That's definitely a segue.
Reviewed The Cub.
I have, yes. So the Cub is a platformer from Demagogue Studio, which previously did Golf Club Nostalgia, which used to be called Golf Club Wasteland, which, Zach, I think you did the review for, from memory.
I think I gave it an 8 out of 10, yeah?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did. Yeah, I thought Golf Club Wasteland was fantastic. Great little puzzle game that has an awesome setting, like post-apocalyptic. It's set where the Earth has suffered the great ecological catastrophe, is what they refer to it as. Man-made, of course, naturally. And the top 1% fuck off to Mars to live on the red planet because Earth is uninhabitable. So in Golf Club Wasteland, you play as one of these Martians, comes back to Earth and plays a round of golf because, why not play golf on the corpse of, thousands of people that died. Anyway, in the through the course of Golf Club Wasteland, you catch glimpses of this little pale boy who's seemingly just living on the planet, having mutated after the catastrophe. It picks up as you playing as that boy. So it's a direct sequel, like very much is a direct sequel, but it hops genres completely. So not a puzzle game, goes straight into a platformer, which I think is really cool. It explores the same world, but just from a completely different perspective. So yeah, as far as the gameplay is concerned, it's a fairly basic take on kind of 90s platformers like Aladdin or trying to think of another one. Lion King was another one. So it very much feels like those old. Sure. It feels like those old school platformers though. So it's basic. You run, double jump, swing, slide, and then later in the game you get a dash where you can like charge through objects. But it all feels fairly satisfying. The levels are very well set out. They have multiple paths that you can take. So there's hidden collectibles all around the place. They all kind of come back to the one point. So if you missed it the first time around, you play it again, you'll get a slightly different experience. They're very well built, but I did find that some of the set pieces require you to be very precise. It's not a precision platformer. It's one of those that after you've ceased your input, the character will take like an extra step. Or there's moments where you're flying in the sky and they'll kind of drift a little bit before they come to a stop. And that didn't quite mesh with some of the set pieces that want you to be super, super accurate. So that was a little bit frustrating, combined with the fact that some of the checkpoints are maybe a little bit scarce. And it seemed to be a crossover. So when there was a part that, you found yourself dying a lot, the checkpoint will be ages back. So you kind of need to trudge your way back through. But outside of that, the platforming is very solid. Art style wise, it carries over from Wasteland as well. So it's very warm tones and it's very vibrant. So lots of kind of radioactive neon pinks mixed in with the greens of the forests. So it's gorgeous. And the other holdover from Wasteland is the radio station, which is Radio Nostalgia from Mars. So early on, you get one of the helmets from one of the Martians that has given it to you, let's say. He's dead. Takes it from a corpse. Pops it on, and he can hear the radio station. So you get a very Triple J monotone radio presenter that kind of gives you little snippets of lore. It doesn't feel like an exposition dump. It feels very natural. You also get these gorgeous kind of haunting tracks that play that were composed for the game. They're beautiful. I think there's some really awesome music to be heard. And occasionally you'll get Martians that call in and kind of regale tales from when they used to live on Earth. And it's a really subtle and nice storytelling device. Like it gives you these little snippets of what came before without shoving it in your face. Even though it is very much tell instead of show, it still feels organic, I suppose. But yeah, the world itself is very, very cool. So I ended up giving it an 8 out of 10, same as Golf Club Wasteland. The main issues just being those few little issues with some of the set pieces, but otherwise, top notch. Really liked it.
I played maybe half an hour of it the other night, and it seems okay. I will
Yeah, it
say
didn't click with you straight away.
no, on the radio side, I will say I think Golf Club, whatever it's called, Nostalgia, is a better setup for that premise of just always having someone talking. I found when I was trying to do platforming, it kind of got a little bit annoying when it wasn't music. Because when they do these, like, the stories, when people call in and stuff, they can go for like several minutes of just talking, and it's just like, it's like I don't care anymore. Like, I just want to focus on platforming. Whereas when you're playing golf, it kind of just, you kind of chilling out a bit.
It's pretty passive.
So that was my kind of only take on the radio part. But yeah. Cool. Very nice. Review up on the website. Go check it out. There's also a video review. You can hear Adam's delicious voice as he, what's the word? Narrates. Said that weird. Narrates a video. James, you got one more for us.
Yeah, just
Another
super
one.
quick. Another Code Recollection. This is the duology of Sing with a C. This was a sort of independent Japanese studio from back in the day. They collaborated with some pretty big brand names at the time, obviously Nintendo being one of them. This thing is on the Switch. It's an original DS game and a Wii game that they have. It's been remastered, effectively, sort of remade, unified with a brand new art style. They're sort of adventure mystery games that I don't have a huge amount to say about. I think that this thing is a really cool product in terms of preservation, because I think Sing is a very like cult beloved kind of studio. And I'm glad that fans of Another Code get a chance to have both of these games in such a neat package, let's say. Personally, as someone who doesn't have any sort of affinity for Another Code as a franchise, I thought that these were totally fine. I think that the new art style they've given it is, in my review, I called it kind of like a gentrified version of the original games because it's very smoothed out. It's very kind of modern CGI anime, if you can sort of understand the visual reference point I'm trying to pull up there. It's fine. It doesn't have a lot of the charm that I think especially the DS game had, because the DS was such a particular unit. Everything had a very like crunchy, jagged aesthetic to it. And I think an attempt to translate that more directly would have been really cool to see. The camera was also a massive pain in the ass. Like quite literally, that thing is just driven up there and never leaves your back. And a lot of this game is sort of exploring, interiors and whatnot, and small environments where you're trying to solve puzzles and navigating those spaces with a camera that is just constantly swiveling around because it doesn't quite know where to put itself was quite frustrating. On the story side, we're following, I've already forgotten her name. Is it Ashley? Nathan, is that correct?
Bro, I forgot this game. Like, honestly, straight
bummer.
after I finished it was gone.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very melodramatic sort of pair of games about two scientists who have a brilliant daughter, and then I think the mum dies and the dad goes missing. And then the first game is about finding your dad, and the second game is about sort of uncovering the mysteries behind your mother and the broader world that Sing was building out across these Another Code titles. Again, very melodramatic, very, I would say, kid-friendly is maybe a bit too soft, but like young adult, this would be a great first kind of like Netflix-ish kind of mystery for them to absorb. But I do think there's a lot of sincerity in here as well. I think sometimes it's dealing with generational trauma in a really interesting way. Great, just not particularly memorable, as is evidenced by the fact that two of us have played this now and can't remember the protagonist's name. There you go. Yeah, Another Code Recollection. Get it if you're a fan. If not, play the demo and see how you feel about it.
Like,
What'd you score
for me,
Sorry.
7, I believe.
yeah,
Stone Cold James 7. It's been a while
And
since one of those.
that's how I would have felt back in the day. Like, I remember playing this. I think it might have been a launch title. Like, we're talking 2004, launch of the Nintendo DS. And it was one of those games that was kind of pushing the touchscreen and like blowing into the microphone, and what was currently like impressive technology back then. It was a gimmick then, though, as well. Like, it's not a game that I would recommend to anyone like well into the lifespan of the DS. So I don't know how it would necessarily appeal outside of established fans for the Switch. Like, pressing a screen is commonplace to us now.
Oddly enough, though, this doesn't use the Switch touchscreen. So
Nothing
very, very
ever does.
bizarre.
Yeah, right.
it does use the gyro though. So there's a very early puzzle. I specifically called this out in my review because it drove me insane. There's like a key inside of a stool you have to kind of shake loose by tilting the switch and everything, and it just felt broken. Like I spent a solid 5 to 10 minutes just sitting on my bed going, not a particularly good time. So
Nice. Very good. Well, you can check out any of these reviews we've spoken about on the website. Before we get into the next section of the potty, we're going to hear from our good mate Ash Whaling, who's got something to say about good old SteelSeries.
SteelSeries is renowned for its innovative and award-winning products that elevate your gaming performance and experience, and the new range of Alias microphones are no exception. Alias microphones feature a capsule that is 3 times larger than most microphones on the market, giving your recording richer and deeper audio. And with the free-to-use Sonar software, AI-enhanced noise cancellation eliminates the background noise that other cardioid microphones will capture. With Sonar, SteelSeries has tailor-made an audio suite that offers the complete solution for content creators who want to manage their EQ levels, personal and stream mix, and it works seamlessly with programs such as OBS and many, many more. Available now, Alias Microphones and Sonar features everything you need to take your content creation to the next level.
Alrighty, thank you, Mr. Whaling, and thank you once again to SteelSeries for sponsoring the WellPlayed DLC podcast. Now, if you listened to the last episode last year, you'll know that we actually postponed our WellPlayed Game Awards for 2023 to this first episode of 2024 because of all the juicy titles that were that came out last year, just to give us a couple extra weeks to kind of play through anything that we needed to touch up on or catch up on and go from there. The votes are in, they've been counted, they've been cross-checked by Armorguard and everything, and we've got the results here. So let's go through them. I'm gonna have to do it on my laptop. So now, firstly, if you have never listened to or read or heard about the WellPlayed Game Awards before, then how dare you? But the way that it works is we do if you follow the AFL football, and if you know of the Brownlow medal, the 3-vote system, you'll know how this works then. So basically, we have a 3-vote system where 3 votes is given to your game of the year, 2 votes is to your second game of the year, and 1 vote to your third game of the year. So the votes, so your highest game or your game of the year is weighted.
So you see, listeners, 3 is 1, and 1 is 3.
1 is 3.
Yeah.
So you're giving 3 votes to your favorite game because it's weighted the highest. Anyway, these guys can never understand it. Everyone always fucks it up in the forms. Though actually, only 2 people did.
Watch the Brownlows, mate. Come on.
I even give you the instructions in the form. Anyway, 2 people did.
We don't listen to you when you talk. What makes you think we're going to listen to you in text form? Are you kidding?
Can you guess who one of the people were who butchered the
Ash
number?
Whaling.
No.
Oh, apologies, Ash.
No. Everyone here was good. Kieran Stockton.
Hey.
The good
Kieran.
doctor.
The good fucking doctor. Anyway, cool.
He
So
was
that's how we do
drinking
it.
his $4 bottle of wine at the time, probably.
Can't trust
Yeah.
him to book flights. Can't trust him
No.
to make a vote.
So we've got a bunch of categories. And this year, some people kind of fucked with the categories too. So the first category that we'll read out is the best Aussie game of 2023. Now, this one was a little bit sad because there weren't that many votes. I got one of the responses was LOL. Another response was I don't play Australian games.
That seems like a weird hill to die
a
on.
couple-
I hope someone put Dredge in there.
And a
Did
couple,
we get Dredge in there?
2 people put Dredge as their favourite
Yeah, why not, mate?
Aussie game of the year, which is
We'll just
actually
adopt that. Yeah.
a New Zealand made game. So we may move. Adam and I spoke about this, but we may move. Actually, next year we may expand this category to give it a bit more life to best ANZ game.
There we go.
Because-
So we're just going to rope in New Zealand, be like, we're desperate, guys. You need to
That's
bolster our category.
Please
Kids
help.
have Lova, and now we're going to take all of your games.
It's Russell Crowe all over again, mate. Like,
authentic.
They never fight back.
All right, so best Aussie game. We got Stray Gods, the role-playing musical, with 1 vote, and Bilkins Foley 1 vote at the very, very bottom. There's the anchors. Shout-outs to those for getting some votes. Coming in at third place, we got Moving Out 2 on 4 votes. Second place. Moving Out 2 and Repeller Fella on equal 4 votes. And the winner for best Aussie game of the year is James's favourite, Gubbins, on 9 votes. So Gubbins takes home Australian Game of the Year in the WellPlayed Game Awards. So, hey, good job, Insert Club.
Hey, congratulations, Gubbins.
Congratulations.
It's the only word game I keep on my phone. I don't play it much, but it's just nice to have a word game on my phone. That is the only one.
I had an Australian one of that.
I genuinely thought when you said there was one that had all the votes, I actually thought it was going to be Moving Out too. So there you go.
Oh.
Barely got to look in, mate. It was you and I think someone else, maybe.
Yeah, right. There you go.
There you go. All right, best performance. So again, we only had in this category, people only had 2 nominations because I find that this one gets a bit trickier. On 1 vote at the very, very bottom. Sorry, go.
Sorry.
Is 2 still...
No, I'm just being a me.
It was a ripper year for VAs.
It was.
Hard to keep it at 2.
Hard to tell from the votes. So on... I'm kidding. So on 1 vote at the very bottom, we've got Erin Yvette, who played Ayer from Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon. Air. Is that how you say it?
That wasn't me.
No, that wasn't you.
Yeah. Yes. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Alongside her, we got Cameron Monaghan, who played Cal. I don't know how it's pronounced. Casestis.
Yeah, Kestis.
Kestis. Let's go. Cal Kestis.
Okay, yeah.
Not even a Japanese name.
From Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Then we had Michael Adamthwaite, who played the Merchant in RE4. We then had Chris Hackney, who played 4 Rusty.
V4 Rusty from Armored Core.
Right. From
the guy who calls you buddy all the time.
Right.
You can imagine why that worked.
And then we had Idris Elba, who plays Solomon Reed in Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty. On 2 votes, we had Takuya Kuroda, who played Kazuma Kiryu from Like a Dragon Gaiden. We had Ralph Ineson, who played Sid in Final Fantasy 16. Had Lily Gao, who played Ada Wong in RE4. And Naj Anthony Jetta, who played Miles Morales in Marvel's Spider-Man 2, on 2 votes. All right, 3rd place, we had Ben Starr, who played Clive in Final Fantasy 16. 2nd place, Melanie LeBird, who played Saga Anderson in Alan Wake 2. And then the winner was Neil Newborn, who played Asterion in Baldur's Gate 3 on 8 votes. So good job to Big Neil. I know he's a big fan of huge fan of the show, so he'll be listening and, print that.
Should have him on for 30 seconds.
Can I weigh in on this one super quick? Just
of course.
To be a petty bitch. So I've never got the hype around this character and this voice actor for one very petty reason. April, because we've been playing as a cooperative playthrough, keeps cucking me hard with that character. Spends all of the downtime at camp trying to fuck that character. I have to sit here literally sometimes a window of an hour at a time waiting for her to get her rocks off before we can continue playing. So I got no time for him. I'm sure he's a great guy and a brilliant voice actor. I wouldn't know. I don't care.
Neil, just sleep with Nathan already. All right, best soundtrack.
Come on.
Coming in at 1 vote at the very, very bottom here, we've got... Oh, hold on. I hit a button. We got El Paso Elsewhere. We've got Quake 2 Remastered. We got Diablo 4. And we got Bramble the Mountain King. 2 votes.
It's eclectic.
We got Lunacid.
What? 2 votes?
Yeah.
Interesting. Sorry, I thought I was the only one here who played Lunacid.
Yeah,
that's very exciting.
You were.
Wow.
You gave it 2 votes. So,
Oh, yeah. Watch the Brownlows. Come on, bro.
Mortal Kombat 1, 2 votes. Star Ocean, the second story, 2 votes. Super Mario Bros. Wonder, Cocoon, and Sea of Stars on 2 votes. Then we got 3 votes. We got Hi-Fi Rush, Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon, Season, A Letter to the Future, Marvel Spider-Man 2. And then on 4 votes, this is third? No, sorry, not quite. 4 votes, Ghost Runner 2 and Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty, and Baldur's Gate 3. Third place, we got Lies of P on 5 votes.
Hey.
Second place, we got Final Fantasy 16 on 5 votes. Actually, I guess they're equal second. And first, we got Alan Wake 2 on 9 votes. So good job there to Big Alan Wake on best soundtrack. Yeah, I was surprised when I heard that you played Season. I think you might have tweeted about it or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, surely that soundtrack's going to be in your...
It was after I'd submitted my votes. So,
right.
yeah, otherwise, sound design as well probably would have gotten a vote in for that game, but here we are.
Here we are. Speaking of sound design, we got 1 vote. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. We got Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. We got Lies of P. We got Lunasid. And we got Hogwarts Legacy. 2 votes. We got Mortal Kombat 1, Ghost Runner 2, Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Then we got 3 votes. We've got Diablo 4, Baldur's Gate 3, and Marvel Spider-Man 2. 7 votes. Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon.
All right.
There's some weird guys in this.
Equal second on 8 votes. Dead Space and RE4.
Yes.
That's a good equal second.
And the winner is Alan Wake 2 on 14 votes.
Yeah.
Damn.
It's a little different.
G. All right, best game design. Awarded to best game design.
God, this is such a nebulous category. Let's go.
I think it's well.
I mean, even the category description isn't complete, so
No,
that's
I think
definitely led to a bit of...
I was hoping that someone wouldn't pick that up.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that though.
I thought that was intentional. It's like
We don't
fill this
need.
blank.
We
What
don't
is
need.
design?
Exactly. It is what it is. It's whatever you want it to be.
It's a choose your own category.
That's it. On 1 vote, we got Synapse. Got Hi-Fi Rush, Street Fighter 6, and we got Lies of P. On 2 votes, we got Remnant 2, Diablo 4, Sea of Stars. 3 votes, Ghost Runner 2, Cocoon, and Marvel Spider-Man 2. Equal 5 votes. Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon, and RE4. Third place now. Third place, we got 6 votes. Alan Wake 2. Second place, 9 votes. The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. First place, 13 votes. Baldur's Gate 3.
Fair shout.
I like all that.
Alrighty. Now I think we start to get to some of the ones that are a bit tighter.
Waiter.
Best art style. 1 vote. Star Ocean, The Second Story. Lunasid. Dodorjane, or however we say that name. That one, the watercolored one. I voted for that.
Yeah.
Sea of Stars. Then you got 2 votes. Final Fantasy 16. Lies of P. Ghost Runner 2. No, sorry. Lies of P. Then you've got 3 votes. Ghost Runner 2. Salt Sea Chronicles. Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon. 4 votes. Cocoon. Equal third on 5 votes. Dredge and Super Mario Bros. Wonder.
Cool.
Okay.
Second place has 11 votes. First place has 12 votes.
Oh, tight race.
Second place, 11 votes. Hi-Fi Rush.
Oh.
First place, 12 votes.
Ooh.
Alan Wake 2.
Yeah.
Let's go.
It's a wake sweep.
Best narrative. 1 vote, Bramble the Mountain King. A Space for the Unbound, Final Fantasy 16. 2 votes, Dredge, Phantom Liberty
Do we just
2077.
have a conversation?
Mark, we'll take him out back.
What's that?
About
Oh,
Final. Someone on the team.
Oh, right.
Needs to be spoken to about Final Fantasy.
I thought you were talking about me.
No.
2 votes Dredge and Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty. All right, 6 votes. Unequal 6 votes here. Marvel Spider-Man 2, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Third place, Lies of P, 7 votes.
Hey.
Second place, 15 votes. First place, 16 votes.
Oh my.
All right.
Baldur's Gate 3, second place, 15 votes.
Oh.
Alan Wake 2, 16 votes, first place. Winner of Best Narrative.
Hot damn.
All right,
great
multiplayer
camp.
game of the year.
This should be a good one.
Come on, baby.
Mate, I was like,
Come on, baby.
no.
I feel
Let's have
dirty.
it.
I get my the one I gave 1 was such a. It was just filling a gap. I hate myself for it.
Well,
agree.
I was surprised at something. 1 vote, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Battlefield 2042. Karma Zoo. Street Fighter
If I could
6.
Battlefield in there, I would have.
You could have, mate. Baldur's Gate
Thought it
3.
was like game that released
Warframe.
in 2023.
No, it was just... It used to be ongoing, but then I just changed it from... live.
But then fucking Cyberpunk won
was gonna
Best Ongoing at the Game Awards.
Yeah, well, they got no idea, mate.
Game that continues to be played award.
And I believe the game that Nathan voted for his 1 vote, Payday 3.
Yes. Let's play it after potty. Let's go.
All right, 2 votes,
You allowed
GTFO.
to? I so badly misunderstood this category.
Overwatch 2, and Lethal Company.
Overwatch 2.
Third place.
Okay.
We know who did that one. Third place.
Yeah.
3 votes. The Finals.
3
Second-
votes. I gave it 2. Someone else here has sense. Let's go.
Big Ralphie. You can thank him. So, second place, 6 votes. First place, 7 votes.
Oh no.
All right.
6
Fucking
votes.
Go.
Second place, Fortnite.
Oh, so close.
I know. I was like, no fucking way. First place, 7 votes. Diablo 4.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
I'll do better next year. But no, I'm happy with Diablo 4.
Indie Vibes Game of the Year. So with this category, we wanted to separate self-published indies and indies that are published by big companies that have money behind them. So there was a bit of confusion in this category. Some people gave...
You're saying indie vibes category was confusing?
No, the indie category people were confused about.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, 1 vote, Indie Vibes Game of the Year, Wild Hearts, Chance of Sinar, Warhammer 40,000 Bolt Gun, and Thirsty Suitors. 2 votes, we had Planet of Lana, Gunbrella, Viewfinder, Mahu Kenshi. 3 votes, we had A Space for the Unbound, The Cosmic Wheel Sisterhood, Lies of P. I left that one in there because I was like, sure, it's not even,
I could make the case for it. I didn't make that vote, but I could make the case for it.
Hi-Fi Rush, Chia. Third place, Dave the Diver on 5 votes. Second place on 6 votes, Cocoon. First place with a whopping 16 votes, Dredge.
Bloody deserves it.
All right, Indie Game of the Year. This is when we got a couple of indie
up.
vibes in here, and I was like, nah, sorry, but you've those votes are void.
We need an actual indie game for this.
Yeah, so 1 vote. I don't even know how to pronounce this game. Pseudo de Guerrilla.
You don't
Okay.
just make up shit.
I don't know.
That's what I'll do next year.
Someone
when I
might have
can't
just put that in, and I might have just... I didn't vet it, so I was like, sure. Sure. 1 vote Chia, 1 vote Out of Terror, 1 vote On Guard. 2 votes, The Finals, El Paso Elsewhere. 3 votes, Lunacid, Midnight Girl, Josant. 4 votes, Lethal Company.
Jusant is not an...
It's published by
indie
Don't
game.
Nod.
Published by Don't Nod.
Yeah, okay. All right, sure.
I was only going because I voted for this.
They are the rules.
Your 3 favorite self-published indie game.
They are the
Yeah.
rules.
Only following the rules.
5 votes, Repeller Fella. Second place, 6 votes, Sea of Stars. 13 votes, the winner, Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
We need a new.
Happy with those.
We need a new name for indie.
We need to
We-
tear
But
it all
like,
down.
okay,
Yeah.
but where
Yeah,
do you
let's start
where do you
again.
draw the line though? This
I don't
is-
have the answers. I don't have
I
the
think
answers
that-
for this.
To be fair, I only played like 2 of those games.
That fair.
Like when I heard Wild Hearts, like, oh shit, yeah, that was a thing, yeah.
like this is
Indie publisher EA.
That fucking me up, right? Like that's yeah.
well that I again
Okay.
one
EA
vote.
originals though, James, so it's practically the same
Like-
thing as an indie.
It was 1 vote, so I was like, sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So compassionate this year. Dang.
But see, if you then went and did like It Takes Two or Unravel, that would fit in indie vibes, right? So it's like
Correct.
that's why these categories just don't. They just don't work, do they?
I think using indie as shorthand for anything that's not a action adventure experience is a really terrible idea. And I think we should move away from that. But that's my take.
I think we had all of what, like 30 minutes to figure out what do we call this category before I sent the votes out. So maybe next year we'll rephrase that.
That's it.
I think in our internal chats outside of the podcast, we might have to like throw a few nominations together because I couldn't like come up.
Yeah.
I couldn't drum up.
Well,
And
I
then you
said,
folks
I
afterwards
said, what did I say? Like boutique game of the year or something like that, or whatever the wording was.
oh,
Maybe-
not the genre, but examples, nominees.
Right,
'Cause
right.
I was thinking of these genres, like, I can't think of any. And then someone said Baldur's Gate after I'd submitted. I was like, well, duh, I would have put that in. It's just, I blanked. It's my bad.
You are bad. All right, game of the year. Let's do it. How exciting. 1 vote. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe.
Not me, but bless Kirby.
1 vote. Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Not
One
me,
vote.
but good on you.
Diablo
Worth a nod.
4. 1
Hello,
vote.
Adam
Street
from
Fighter
WellPlayed.
6. 1 vote. Chia. 2 votes. Remnant 2. 2 votes. Lies of P. 2 votes. Cocoon. And 2 votes to Sea of Stars. 3 votes. Oh, been a bit high there. 3 votes to Ghost Runner 2. And, surprisingly, Marvel's Spider-Man 2. Only 1 person voted for that game. Gave it a 3. Wasn't touched anywhere else.
Didn't play it. Otherwise, probably would have given it something. It's just snuck in too late in the year.
4 votes. Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon.
You failed me.
Top 4. We're now at the top 4. So, for context, the winner is on 12 votes. The second one is on 11 votes.
Ooh. You love to see it.
4th place on 5 votes. Resident Evil 4.
That's why you included a top 4.
Well, I meant to
Yeah.
do the top 5, but I missed my cue. Sorry about that.
Gotcha.
3rd place on 7 votes. The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
Very
Woo! 2nd place
Oh, boy.
on 11 votes. Alan Wake
We're
2.
gonna have to like. Oh, good. I was gonna say if we have to go through the press start shit of Cop and Flack, like, oh god, I don't want to do that again. Those guys are marks.
Game of the Year for WellPlayed for 2023 is Baldur's Gate 3 on
Yeah,
12
boy.
votes. 1 vote, the winner.
I'm genuinely
come
surprised by that.
Nah.
Me too.
What are you guys?
Baldur's Gate got a lot of 3s. Alan Wake didn't.
Yeah.
No, fair,
I think
fair
Alan
enough.
Wake.
It's,
I think Alan Wake got more votes, but because it was like ones
Yeah.
and ones.
yeah, it's the beauty of the wonderful 3-point Brownlow system. It really is.
Do you know
Well,
what?
you're-
I'm
yeah.
Join that brown
terrifically
nose
happy
there.
with that top 3.
Well, your Game of the Year should be, the highest weighted, I think. So it makes sense. But congratulations to Baldur's Gate 3 and Larion. I know they're huge fans. They're probably waiting for this to drop. 5 a.m. on
Clamoring.
Friday. This is the
Absolutely.
the final trophy for the cabinet, I reckon. So congratulations to all winners. Anyone have any surprises that they thought?
Sorry, I thought maybe Cocoon would have gotten a bit more love. Most of the,
We just didn't play it, bro. We don't do.
I think that I genuinely think that is it, because I think that game is absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, most of the nominations that it got were mine. I was following along, and I was like, I gave this 2, and you'd say on 2 points. I'm like, okay, yep, cool. So yeah, if there's a takeaway, absolutely play Cocoon, because I think it's fantastic.
It's great.
Yeah.
I was very surprised at Marvel's Spider-Man 2, and then I was actually probably more surprised at RE4. I thought this would feature more. I only got 5 votes.
Spot.
I didn't think it would take top spot. I mean, I'm surprised it fucking came 4th, like, to be honest. Like, when I saw that it only had 2 people voted on it and it had 5 votes, I was like, fuck, it's going to be like in the middle of the run. But it was because it was a big crowd.
Did we get 0 mention of Dead Space remake?
That's what I was about to say, because I would have ranked that above Resi.
I think
that was audio design.
That came equal second in audio in sound design, which I thought was phenomenal. Sorry, I'm talking about game of the year. Sorry.
Yeah.
I think top 3. I think a top 3 in this year or last year. I don't know where you fit that in. If you played all the games that that are in the race kind of thing, which I think most people kind of did. Like at least 90 to 80% of them.
Like a lot of us definitely hit the big ones. Although I think Zelda's absence in a lot of these lists, I think speaks to maybe, I don't know, like I never got around to it. It's a Zelda game I just never went back to. And I wonder if that's...
the same way for me. Like it's retreading so much of the same ground. Yeah, there's so much new shit in it, but it's just not hitting the same way. It's grabbing me. I've put 20 odd hours in. It's still like...
I've been in the same cave for 3 sessions now.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
That's how I feel working
the
from
gratitude you get out of... Let's move on.
Very good, though. Very nice. Yeah. Some good ones. I really thought Hi-Fi Rush was going to take home best art style, and then when I tallied up the votes, I was like, fucking hell, it's missed by 1. Spewing.
Yeah, no, completely fair. I think that game's art style is phenomenal, but it's just it's not a genre that interests me at all, and that's just kind of how it goes with the voting for these things. It is completely
I think, well, it's based on what we played, right? So that's the
exactly yeah. And there's a lot of like I want to be in the same space that everyone is with Baldur's Gate 3. Like I want to love it so much, but it is so daunting that every time I sit down at my desk and go, all right, I want to play something, I can't click on it because it's just so it's intimidating.
Are you still struggling with that early learning curve? Because it's steep.
I haven't booted up the game.
Yeah, right. It's I think its new player experience is quite daunting, and I'm very sympathetic to folks that are struggling to get in the door.
The loop I've fallen into with it is I started it, got a couple of hours in, was like, I see the appeal, can't wait to play more of this, put it down for a month, tried again, was like, I've forgotten absolutely everything about this game because it is just so dense. Yeah. But like, I'm sure I'd love it when I do get around to it.
You're going to have to treat it like a big book.
Good job. All right, do we want to quickly go through our biggest disappointment, and then we can whip through our own personal lists for Game of the Year? Or our games of the year. I mean, I guess for me it's pretty easy. Probably Quantum Error would be the biggest flop that I played. I gave that a 3. I wasn't expecting, again, like I wasn't expecting greatness, but I didn't think it would be that stinky.
I'm amazed, like how you didn't need some kind of recovery program after playing as much of that as you did. Because it put me in a right stinky mood. And I only played like 3 hours, and God, that 3 hours felt long.
Yeah. And in terms of disappointment, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure what I found disappoint. Like, yeah. Does anyone have a disappointment that they want to talk about?
Redfall.
That's a good one,
Um,
actually. Yeah.
Fair
Yeah,
shout.
that was a game that should have been a banger, and it was trash. Really, it's just a bit of a shame.
Yeah.
Like unequivocally trash too. Like we won't have debates
Yeah.
or future conversations about that. It's just a stinker.
Yeah.
A real shame.
I have a disappointment one, which was WrestleQuest. It's the
Mm.
little
Yes.
wrestling pixel art RPG. Everything about it seemed like the perfect marriage of wrestling and old school video games, and it seemed like it should work, and I really wanted it to. And I tried. It was one of those games that I put effort into trying to like it. Like, when you want so bad for something to click, and it just didn't. The systems were irritating, and it was, yeah, it just wasn't at all what I wanted it to be, which was really unfortunate.
Nathan, you got a disappointment? Oh, no.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I got a disappointment and a stinker. The stinker's the same as yours. Quantum Error, having the privilege to join you alongside that. Yeah, that was tough, bro.
You're welcome.
But the disappointment was Final Fantasy 16, which is by no means a bad game. It's just a game that
I mean, by some means, but
What? Well, yeah, okay. From there are definitely some like gameplay elements of it that just make no sense to the point of being absurd. Like that lack of progression and it like trying to moonlight as an RPG that simply isn't is aggravating. But yeah, like none of it really hit the caliber that I expected of it. It looked great, but none of it was functional. It sounded great, but to what ends? The story didn't go anywhere interesting, and the gameplay just gives up after about 5 hours anyway, and then you times that by 10 till he hits the credits. So yeah, that was a chore of 50 hours that I kind of want back. Like I would rather have watched somebody else play that. I didn't need to play that. So let's hope that we get something better with, like, we got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm kind of hedging my bets on that now. Let's see how that goes.
I reckon for me, it'd probably be Payday 3 would be the biggest disappointment.
Yeah.
Just for a fun factor, like I thought it would be better. Like I thought we have more
Yeah, fair.
It was bare bones.
more advanced than just a reskin kind of. But
Reskin of a game that already felt far too old for 2023.
yeah. All right, let's go.
Just very
Sorry,
quickly,
yep.
sorry, I forgot to chuck in my stinker, which was different from the others, which is Lord of the Rings Gollum, because that game
You
made me.
I reviewed that too.
I
Didn't
did. You did.
Fucking
And I
hell.
played
I
it
played
to,
that.
you were like, just so we can have some conversation on the potty. Give it
That's what he did for
load
me, bro. That's how he got me in on Quantum Error.
load it up and give it a play. And there are some games that are bad, but you just you can have a laugh at them. This made me I hate this game. I aggressively hate this game
You have a
because it felt
visceral
like
emotional reaction.
absolutely like I could feel it wasting my time, and that aggravated me. And it shits all over the source material, which is kind of hallowed ground at this point. You don't mess with Lord of the Rings, even though they continuously do. And yeah, a complete shit show of a game.
Alrighty. Shout outs to all those games for, leaving an impact in 2023.
Games for Impact 2023.
James, what is your... you can do top 5, you can do top 3, you can do whatever you want.
I'm gonna go top 5. I guess some quick shout outs for things that did miss the top 5 though. Obviously, Season Letter the Future I don't think is entirely successful at what it does, but I think is absolutely a very interesting sort of little indie that most people should play. Jusant was fantastic as well. Adam, shout outs. I totally understand where that love came from.
Another
I'm
great
just looking
indie.
through this massive. Sorry,
And just another great indie title there. 2 in a row.
another. Exactly right. I'm having a look through the 2023 lineup because there was just a staggering amount of games that I feel like I should give shout outs to. Like Dead Space was fantastic. Other things that I'm sure I really enjoyed. I liked a lot of Forspoken. I didn't get super deep into it, but I enjoyed what I played. I think there's so many interesting things going on in that. Yeah. Anyway, and Bayonetta Origins, Legend of Cereza, or whatever it's called.
forgetting that thing.
Surprisingly great puzzle game. I think its narrative is kind of whatever. If you don't care about Bayonetta, that's totally fine. But the core puzzle gameplay and combat is just a real treat. Loved it so much. Number 5, let's go with A Space for the Unbound. It was that little pixel indie game that I played at the very beginning of last year. Nothing made me cry as much as that game made me cry last year.
The one out
It
of
has such
Indonesia?
a
Yeah.
yes, yeah. So very culturally specific game, which was a great year for those as well. Obviously with stuff like Venba and Thirsty Suitors too. But this one just completely has my heart. The way it deals with mental health and sort of self-improvement and self-love through the lens of like a kind of retro arcadey pixel art game was just tremendous. Number 4, fittingly, Resident Evil 4 remake, absolute fucking banger. No notes. I gave it a 10 because it is a 10. Really loved it. It just didn't quite get a look in on like the top 3 experiences for me of the year. Coming in at number 3, let's go with Lies of P. Far better than it had any right to be. The first true claim to the Souls-like from somebody that's not FromSoft. Really cool narrative, really cool ideas about lying, incredible music. Like another game this year that we have to talk about, original songs that were sort of made for this with lyrics and messaging and just beautiful. Number 2, Armored Core 6: Fires of Rubicon, which would have been my number 1 had it not been etched out by the same thing we're all going to say. That game still remains tremendous. The best sound design of the year, in my opinion. FromSoft's tightest gameplay loop since Sekiro, probably. Just a tremendous game. And Alan Wake 2 is my game of the year. Have not even finished it, and I know it's the best thing I played last year and into this year. It is so... I think I messaged this to Adam at the time, and maybe even Nathan as well. Once I got to like the title card, which is, I don't know, 30 seconds into this thing, full body goosebumps, fucking fist pumping the air. Like, this was the game. And everything I've played since then, which is most of the way through the 3rd episode now, or the 3rd instance, or whatever they're called so far. I've just gotten up to the talk show, I guess, for reference. Everything about it in terms of a cross-media experience, acting, art direction, lighting, sound design, gameplay. It's Resident Evil 4's kind of like little action loop, but just really properly condensed into a nice little horror experience. I absolutely adore this thing. It's Remedy firing on all cylinders, and I'm so happy to see that they pulled this off.
Nice. Very cool. Adam, you can go next, my friend. Tell us your whatever.
Wonderful.
3 to 5, whatever you want to choose.
I shall. I'll give a few quick shout outs similar to James did that missed the mark. Not missed the mark, missed out on the top 5. I'll shout out some VR titles because they don't get a great deal of love in the Game of the Year conversation. Horizon Call of the Mountain. I'm not a Horizon fan. I genuinely am a bit indifferent to the mainline series. But what Call of the Mountain does as far as making you feel a part of that world, I think is very special. But the best VR thing that I played this year is Synapse by an absolute country mile. As far as a power fantasy goes, it is completely unmatched in the VR space. I think the game is absolutely phenomenal, and it's got a really great art direction as well. As far as my top 5, I've completely forgotten what I was actually putting in my number 5. So I'll do a top 4 to mix things up a little bit. Spider-Man 2 was my 4th. It just missed out on my top 3. I think the game is absolutely phenomenal. I loved the first game in a very strong way. I platinumed it, 100%ed it, because I just didn't want to stop engaging with the systems that it set out. Spider-Man 2, I was confident wasn't going to give me the same feeling, but it did. It does everything better. It has more confidence in what it is, and it expands on the narrative element. I think the first game did a good job with as far as the story progressed. Spider-Man 2 tells a much more genuine and human story, and it's far more relatable in the themes that it plays around with. Jedi Survivor was my number 3. I think that game is fucking phenomenal as far as taking what was
previous.
Absolutely. And I really enjoyed the Fallen Order. I thought it was great. But if you're going to talk about Spider-Man 2 taking what came before and improving upon it, like Survivor just is leaps and bounds. It's miles ahead. It really is. It's a fantastic experience. And as far as like being a Star Wars nerd, holy fucking shit. Like that game will rock your socks off start to finish. It really will. Number 2 was Cocoon, because I think as far as game design, it's near perfect. It's coming from the lead designer from Limbo and Inside, and it very well tells, but it's a more involved experience. Like it is a puzzle game. It's not kind of a platformer with some puzzle elements. It is a straight up puzzle game, and it is near perfect. Like it's as close to the enjoyment that I got from Portal 2 as I've felt since playing Portal 2. The game is top to bottom fantastic, and it's wrapped in an audio-visual masterclass as well. But yeah, Alan Wake 2 is my game of the year, without a shadow of a doubt. I knew that, like James was saying, I knew that it was going to be the best thing I've played maybe like an hour into the game. I think it took me a little bit longer to get that feel, but more than anything, the game is unbelievably confident in everything it does. Like, and you feel that in every single way, whether it's gameplay, the artistic approach, the live action set pieces. It is so confident in every aspect. And I think Remedy is... They went from a studio that I admired to a studio that I loved in the course of 17 hours that I spent with the game. It's incredible.
Nice.
That's me.
Nathan, your turn, my friend.
So the quick couple that didn't make the top 5 cut will be Resident Evil 4. And look, it's a brilliant game, but I cannot ignore the fact that... So for context, I played that through on like hard or whatever, the difficulty up from normal/medium is. And I spent way too much time redoing those escort sequences. Right? Like, with old what's her name? Like, I was just getting stuck on those and becoming frustrated, and it tainted the experience that otherwise, if it wasn't for that, would have been probably perfect. But it was just too much of a taint. And then the other one that didn't make the top 5, which I kind of have to justify as, and I'm not even sure if it would count it, but like Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. Like, I gave that a 10. By rights, it probably should be like one of my most enjoyable experiences of the year. And look, it was fantastic. I could not fault the experience as hard as I tried. I thought it was as close to perfect as I could get. But sometimes, like, when it comes to like Oscar bait films and that, like, you're like, this is a masterpiece. But did I personally like love it? No. So that was where I was kind of having a bit of conflict. And then like Quake 2 Remaster, which just kind of like snuck out of nowhere. Like that was kind of like shadow drop. So I don't think many outlets like really reviewed it because there was no lead time or anything like that. We didn't review it, but I played it over Christmas. And I have nothing but great things to say for it. That is a game that, I don't know, came out 97, 98 maybe. I wouldn't know. Like it's so modern in its design that I had a terrific time with it. Number 5 is probably going to be Dredge, which I also finished over Christmas. It was just super tight. I love that it allowed me to kind of set my own direction through how I explored it and put its story together. I didn't think its story was like ended up tying off in the most wonderful fashion, but I had a terrific time in the journey. 4 would probably be Dead Space. To me, that was a perfect experience. Like, there was no point in that game where I had any downtime, where I had any bits where I was getting stuck and getting frustrated. Just from start to finish, I thought it was a clean, perfect experience. Loved it. Then 3 would be 004, which would probably be a weird choice, if not for the fact that I did stick with that hardcore experience, which, as I said, elevated what was a good game into something very different, that every time I played it was a memorable session. Every time I invested anything into it, I got out a lot of emotions and elation. So that was just a very pure experience for me. The second one, Alan Wake 2, for the same reasons all these guys have mentioned. I think one of the things that I really loved about this is it's a game with quite a dense narrative which could easily get lost. And it tells a lot of it through things that don't usually work in a lot of games, like text logs, but it definitely follows the Resident Evil school of text logs, where we keep it pretty short and succinct, or passable if there is a lot of text in there. And then also it gives you this activity of arranging evidence. So this is something that's introduced really early on, and it's not really something that's penalized. It's an activity rather than anything you're trying to accomplish or achieve. But the act of doing this piecing of evidence that doesn't penalize you allows you to always contextualize what's happening in the story and what is a dense story. Love that to bits. Number one for me is Baldur's Gate 3. It's a game that April and I are still playing, and every time we sit down to play it, the memories and the stories that we get out of this are so evocative and memorable that every time we're playing it, every time that we put time into it, we're thinking, God, we cannot wait for the next time in however many years we come back to this and make different choices and experience different sides to this. And our experience is going to be so radically different to anyone else's because it's had so much impact and stake and weight. But those first 5 hours are tough. Like, not only is the game very hard, if you haven't played these kinds of games, it's just such foreign territory to try and get into. So my sympathies, guys. But it really is something special. And obviously Zelda didn't get a mention because I just still can't click with that game. I'm sure it's wonderful. I haven't been enjoying it. It wasn't one of my most enjoyed games of 2023.
Very nice. Very good. The only shout out I'll give that isn't in any list is Midnight Girl. I really did like that game, nice and short. I thought the art style was very cool. The story was very, very neat. Puzzles quite simple and flowed real nicely. I gave that an 8. I will give a shout out to On Guard. I thought that was very, very fun. I only gave it a 7.5, but very, very fun. Very, what's the right word? Like colourful and just a fun little goofy. Not goofy's not the right word, but it's like a comedy kind of action game. So very good. If I had to do a top 5, it'd be the same as it'll start the same way as Nathan. So either or, you could pick Dredge or Dead Space. Whatever, flip a coin there. I did quite enjoy both of those. Dead Space, I was Anna's first time playing it, so we played through that.
Special,
and
man.
Yeah, and there's been just a lot of tweaks from that original game they've just modernized it quite nicely. Dredge, I just like the whole, like the Lovecraftian, just the night and day cycle, just the way that the story's told through those, not like visual novel, but like, just like the text kind of thing, and just kind of a lot of your imagination is filling in some of the blanks there, whereas some of these other games, so like The Night is Grey is a very good example, right, where the two characters don't speak, but you kind of, when you're reading them talk, you kind of you're just reading it, right? But I think in Dredge, the world makes you kind of just imagine like what's, a bit more to it. So very, very good. Street Fighter 3.
Before you move on from that, just on Dredge, did we all play Dredge?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to just leverage or level a very abstract criticism. So one thing that's kind of struck me about halfway through that game that I didn't love, and it's perfectly fine, I'm just an idiot, it doesn't have any rough edges. Like, it is the smoothest, most polished game. Like, there's nothing in it that you can't feel like, oh, I'm so devious, I've tricked the game. It's polished to perfection. Like, it's all rounded edges. And I know that's going to sound absurd if you haven't played it, but it's such a smooth game that I just wanted a little grit, and it didn't have it.
I get that.
How is that for pathetic?
No, I understand.
It's such a good game, though.
First world criticisms, eh?
Yeah, exactly right.
All right. Third, if I had to have a top 3, would be Street Fighter 6. Came in at number 1. I thought I didn't love the open world kind of stuff, but I thought kind of similar to what Nathan said, kind of with Cyberpunk, right? Is that a lot of the accessibility stuff that game did, a lot of the simplifying the controls, making it accessible for players who really wanted to get into fighting games, but was scared of that kind of just getting trashed by everyone. But yeah, the game does a lot of, and just the fighting is very cool, the art style is very cool. It's a very, very good fighting game. I think I gave that a 9. So I didn't love the open world, the story stuff as such, but good game nonetheless. Second, I actually gave to Alan Wake 2 because I think I'm a bit further than James. I think I am past the talk show.
Okay.
Okay.
I've gone in.
It's just
Past the talk show, guys.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, I'm trying to think of like, yeah, but I'm a bit further than that though. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm
You've
a bit
seen
further
some
than
talk
that.
show shenanigans. Yeah.
But yeah, just like James, right? And I think because a lot of you were like, you'd like talk, you talked it up quite a bit, and I was like, I have to fucking like this game. Like, I can't not like this game.
Don't let us down.
And then yeah, it came on, and Anna already does not like it. She goes boring, and like we were talking we were talking today, and she's like, oh, so what are you talking about on the podcast? So I'm like, oh, we're doing our game of the year. And she's like, oh, yeah, so what one? And I was like, oh, yeah, this game. She's like, I never heard of it. And I was like, oh, it was pretty much a draw between this and Alan Wake 2. She's like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, only 50% of the whole industry voted like Alan Wake 2, like, their game of the year. And, how do you sum it up? Boring. Like, just win one. Fucking. Just, I think, yeah, she didn't quite love it. But, yeah, it's probably right after, yeah, like, you're right. Like, after that title card came up, I was like, fucking hot damn, this is good shit. Like, I can feel this is going to be good shit. And the only reason why it probably didn't go number one is because I haven't played enough. I wasn't confident enough to be like, I haven't played enough for it to be one. But I reckon if I had played a bit more of it, which was the plan, that it would be number one. But number one for me was RE4. I thought that game did a lot of good stuff with, bringing the original, making the new version is a lot more modern, a lot more playable. I don't love playing the old one now. I know, James, you said it's still fine, but
I still quite like it. Yeah,
I can't get over the not moving, like the not walking, shooting. That's and just like a lot of like the little
more dynamic.
Yeah, a lot of little shit they did. And like the gunplay feels so nice and meaty, and like the merchant, for example, just a great character. Super fun.
I think if it wasn't for Armored Core, like Resident Evil 4 would be the best action game of the year for me. It's just such a tight system.
Yeah. So there you go. Top fives all around. Good job, everyone.
Look at that.
Video
games.
Video games, eh? There you go.
So we're in for a real stinker in 2024 because you can't follow up 2023 with a better year.
Not
with all the industry layoffs.
Yeah. Well, no, that's it.
I don't think we'll have. I don't think there'll be as many like good games. I don't know. Like to that level where we're like,
the caliber was sky high.
Like every month it was like, oh, this is going to be game of the year. Then this is going to be game of the year.
We're sitting here thinking, oh shit, more stuff we have to play.
Yeah.
And if you scroll through what's coming this year, or what's dated for this year, there's a lot of good stuff coming, but I don't think it's quite at that level. But yeah, very cool. All right, let's go into off topics and then we'll wrap it up and we'll go home. There's nothing else we had to discuss. No. Cool. Let's do the off. Actually, very, 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 very quickly, we'll do a very super quick jorts. One title per person that we haven't spoken about for this month in January that you were keen on. If there's something left to play that you were keen on playing. Anything from January that you use on your list that you want to check out?
Yep. I could throw one at you right away. So we've got, it only seemed like yesterday, but we got another Yakuza title. So Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth is coming in 2 weeks less? And this is supposed to be a big one. Now, the previous Like a Dragon was the first RPG title. That game took easily over 60 hours to wrap up. And the developers I've seen citations of 100 hours. I don't know, I feel like that might be a little too much, but I'm excited nonetheless. I've only got so much time for JRPGs though. And last year was already a lot. That's my one.
Cool.
More
cool.
Yakuza.
James, have you got one for us, mate?
No, we're already sort of on the other side of everything I was super excited about this month.
Cool. No. Adam, you got anything?
For the most part, no, fuck, absolutely, I've got something. Tekken 8 comes out in
Yes.
a bit of like a week and a bit, and
Is that the one with the cat, man?
Yes.
King. You put some fucking respect on his name.
Did
He
you
is
ever
a
get
wrestler.
Did you ever get into to his dad, Major King or whatever it was? Not Major King. What's the one in Tekken 2? No, not Tekken 2.
What you been on, mate?
Metal King. What the fuck?
Not Metal King. There was two of them, mate.
Metal King to surpass the wall.
Jesus Christ.
I hope he's getting this, mixed up with his Metal Gear Solid lore.
No.
Yeah, I don't know what he's on about.
Liquid King.
King, just as a quick aside, for Tekken 7, and I think he's doing it for Tekken 8 as well, wrestling is like
Armor
a
King.
big armor. Yeah. Sorry, that's my bad, Armor King. Wrestling is a big deal in Japan. Like, it's a cultural phenomenon in Japan. Like, if you've played the Yakuza games, there are a whole bunch of modern day wrestlers that appear in the Yakuza games. For Tekken 7, and I think he's doing it again for Tekken 8, the mocap for King was done by this renowned Japanese wrestler, Minoru Suzuki, who's known as the Murder Grandpa. He's like a dude in his near 60s who just goes out and kicks the shit out of younger men. And I think it's fantastic that he's this older statesman wrestler that does the mocap for Tekken 8 just for one character, just to get it like as authentic as it can be, which I think it's very cool.
How much more entertaining would Gran Torino have been if they cast that dude instead of Clint Eastwood?
Oh my god, infinitely. Minoru Suzuki is the man. Clint Eastwood's fine.
Get off my... Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. The game I was keen for was set for January, has been delayed to Feb. So, though I've always had an eye on Graven.
Yeah. Is that the boomer shooter?
Yes.
Does look cool. Yeah.
But yeah, cool. All right, let's go off topics and talk about stuff. So, first, let's go 2000s film of the week, Mr. Adam Ryan from WellPlayed.
Yeah, Adam from WellPlayed here. Let's kick off with a film from the year 2000, hey? Because that seems pretty fitting.
Are you going to read the thing and we got to guess? Is that the thing we're doing?
You best believe it.
Good man.
Let's go for the synopsis, eh? We have got unscrupulous boxing promoters, violent bookmakers, a Russian gangster, incompetent amateur robbers, and a supposedly Jewish jeweler fight to track down a priceless stolen diamond. What have we got, boys?
Stock and Smoking Barrel?
Oh, he's close. He's very close.
Not leaving Las Vegas.
Snatch it is. Nathan has
Snatch.
the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Lock, Stock was they were after 218 shotguns. But yeah, it's Guy Ritchie's first film of the 2000s. And it's fucking incredible. Genuinely, I watch this film multiple times a year. I think it's probably no shit, 100%. It's like Shaun of the Dead. Like, I think I once watched Shaun of the Dead like 3 times in a day. Like, Snatch is probably my most quoted film. Key and I will get around the house and
Whereas
like
Sean's mine. Yeah, fuck.
it's a tight race, but it's like non-stop. It's one of those films that I'll take something away from it new every time I watch it. Mainly because the accents in the film are like fucking unintelligible. They're very hard to understand.
Brad Pitt's something else.
Brad Pitt plays a character that is like you have to have it on 0.5 speed to understand anything that he's saying, and he's fantastic. Snatch is one of my favorite films ever.
What's the rotten rate there, mate?
It's got an 8.2 on IMDb. Rotten Tomatoes is 74%.
Okay, and where can one devour such a film?
Mate, you can get it. Google Play, Amazon Prime, Apple TV, or Stan. It was on Netflix for quite some time, but it
goes on and off Netflix fairly regularly.
It does, yeah.
Very nice. Good
Fucking
job.
great film. Goddamn.
Alrighty, what did everyone watch over the break? Nathan, I'll start off with this one. I watched Slow Horses season 3.
Yes, and I'm halfway through, and yeah, what do you think?
I like it. A lot of people raved about this season.
I'm up there. I think it's the best since the first, but I haven't finished it.
Don't know how I feel about the final episode, but I thought it was really good. I didn't think it was bad, but yeah. I think
thought
you
the ensemble
understand.
was a lot tighter because
Yeah.
in the second season, it's like they introduced a couple of new characters and kind of just like kept them on the sideline to pad out the episodes most of the time. But now they actually feel like characters.
Yeah, yeah. But Gary Oldman's just still a unit.
Sweaty.
Yeah, he's still very sweaty.
Yeah, you can. I think you said it, didn't you, or James? Like you could smell him through the screen.
Yeah, absolutely. I should get
So
back to that show.
Comes with a scratch and sniff in the.
Gary Oldman flavor.
Cool. I'll talk about some more stuff in a minute, but who else wants to chat about something that they've watched?
I'm gonna rattle off. Oh no, you go. No, after you.
I was going to say I got flight films, so I got two and fro.
Hey.
So I'll be real quick because I don't have much to say. So 2, Singapore, Anatomy of a Fall, French film that's been doing the numbers awards season. For me, it was every fucking French awards bait film I've seen. So it was like fine. I didn't care. Whatever, it was fine. On the way
French
back,
awards bait.
like it's just a dry French film, and it's like nothing happens. Everything is in the title. The entire film is about a woman who goes to court to try and say that her husband died by falling off the balcony, and then the prosecution is saying you pushed him, and she's like, no, it's just a fall. Nothing exciting happened. How's the film? You know, it's a dry French film. Like, make of it what you will. Anyway, on the way back, 3 films. There's a flavor here. Missing, which was Storm Reed. So that was really cool as a thriller until the end kind of lost me. I enjoyed the previous one, which was Searching. So it's kind of like a duology of these films that are kind of like take place on a person's desktop mostly. And then a couple of other award seasons films. So the first one was Past Lives with Greta Lee, which is kind of like a modern romance type of film, which I thought was really mature and poignant and made me sad at the end and had one of my most favorite ending scenes of the year. And then the one I watched after that was Monsters, which was a Japanese film. I don't typically enjoy Japanese films, surprisingly. But this one was brilliant and beautiful, and it's told in 3 acts. That's just about a school where there's just some shit happening where students, parents, and teachers are all very different perspectives, all sort of bickering, and then the film plays out in their different perspectives and tells a really emotional story. And all of these films were downers. And so I was really sad on my flights. Yeah, really fucking sad. And they're all good films. I loved Monsters, was my favourite.
So no Italian Russell Crowe?
No, I did see it there. I didn't watch it. So there you go. I didn't watch any action films. They're all just very somber, sad films.
Nice.
I was real espresso depressed though.
Good stuff.
There you go.
James?
Yeah. Speaking of fake Italians, I went and saw Ferrari, the new Michael Mann film with Adam Driver playing Enzo Ferrari or whatever his fucking name was. Loved it, adored it. Like Michael Mann makes very much movies for my kind of sensibilities. It's a bunch of dudes talking about how masculinity is a cage, both explicitly and implicitly. Also, there's cool cars. They're really, really good. I think Zach, you might enjoy it. A good talky picture. Penelope Cruz was surprisingly incredible in it. Really, really great time in the movies.
Have you seen Gran Turismo?
Fuck no.
Okay. Well, I thought
I'm an adult.
Was that?
Your mouth.
I like that your takeaway was James must be into cars.
Well, no. Well, I was gonna be like, like
Not that I'm into Adam Driver.
No, because when I have seen the trailers for Ferrari, I'm like, right, this looks about as good as Gran Turismo was.
Gran Turismo driving was fucking sick though.
Yeah, the driving
I've
was
heard
very
this.
good. Yeah.
I do actually kind of want to watch it, but no, Ferrari is much more about the man than the cars.
Right.
It's a very much a study of a dude. On the opposite end of quality in every regard, we have Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon Part 1, An Earthly Child, whatever it's called. Dog shit. I like Zack Snyder's films, and I thought this was atrocious. Yeah,
I'm waiting for the so-called Snyder cut that he's
the Snyder cut that fixes it. What an absurd premise! Like he has full creative control and he's trying to pull the Snyder cut bullshit. I don't much care for that. I think that even with a Snyder film, you can always kind of rely on having cool visuals to at least get you through. This doesn't even have that. It is ugly. It's just bad. It really did not care for it. And swinging back up on the other end of quality again is The Boy and the Heron, the Miyazaki film. Which
nice.
I thought was stunning. I had a wonderful time.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah. Oh, and I've started up Gundam again, just for good measure.
Good man, because I was kind of in the mood while I was away as well, so I started queuing up a fuck ton of Gundam. So what are we
Nice.
gonna watch?
1978. We're starting at the beginning. Like I'm still working
I
on
thought
that.
you were gonna do like fucking Hathaway or something.
Oh no! I mean, like, there's the gay one that's super recent, which you think would be the one I'd be watching, but no, I want to watch.
That
You
Richard
know,
Mercury? No.
I think so. I don't know. So,
fuck is
some quirky
Gundam?
little name.
It's an anime.
Big robots.
Big Max.
Yeah.
Just big robots, bro. Yeah, big
Yeah.
robots.
It's
in
about
space.
war. It's about a boy who can't face what he's done, and his mother in the rear view. I love it.
Good job.
You can
Adam.
see his eyes glaze over in real
Yeah, it's
time. It's
just-
wonderful.
Adam,
It's a niche for their niche.
Mate, I've had no fucking time for any quality films or thought-provoking television series because
or
I
fake
watched.
Italians.
No fake Italians here because I watched 500 episodes of One Piece and I don't
did it.
regret a single second of what
Over
I've
the
done to
break?
myself.
He did it.
Fucking absolutely.
Holy shit, man! That's
So-
impressive.
He was
We all know-
by play too.
I was literally updating Nathan. I was like, this character and this happened and this shit all happened in like the early 2000s. And Nathan's like,
I'm just going. Just
that's-
you wait, son.
that's very good, son. Exactly. But we all know that I work from home and I don't have anyone to talk to, so I usually listen to music or put on a YouTube video or something. Instead, it's been 24/7 One Piece back to back to back to back to back. And it's like a long-running anime, right? You can listen to most of it and get the idea. And then I'll wait for some exciting thing to happen, and then I'll wait for later that night and I'll like actively watch it. Show's fucking amazing. I've picked up my love for it from when I was a kid, and I don't regret a second
Shake
of the
your
time
head.
I've used. It's fucking great.
Fucking hell.
Zach's not impressed. See, I swear I was only having this very similar, like, overwhelming expression of I've just watched 500 episodes. Like, what was it, like 18 months back or something?
Yep.
It
And
happens.
it's finally happened. You finally convinced me to jump on board, and I'm in it for the long haul.
Beautiful.
500 down, 500 to go. Let's go.
The Attack on Titan folks are remaking the first arc of One
I
Piece. as
saw
well.
that. How fucking wild.
Hmm.
Wild
Tasty.
business.
Yay. Good job.
That'll be where-
Zach's going to be the only one on this team after a while who's not being killed by it.
No, I
Yeah.
won't. I don't think you'll get me either. Sorry.
We'll see.
Maybe
What have
Hannah
you
will be
been
in.
watching?
If you say One Piece, I will shit on the floor.
Well, I kind of want to see that. So, so I started a show called, well, actually finished Fool Me Once, which is based on it's
Oh,
it's
the Harlan Coben.
yeah. Like that's kind of how I felt. Like I was interested, and I kind of got towards the end. I was like, okay. Twist is kind of sure. The whole thing is just a bit kind of sure in the end.
Harlan Coben.
What else did I watch? I watched Bullet Train again with the old man while he was here. Well, because I was trying
I
to
think
watch.
Bullet Train's kind of fun.
I think it's a
Am I
great
the only
film.
one that wasn't entertained by that. I was
Oh,
like,
I
this
think
is
it's-
so much more bombastic, but it's not. It forgot to have fun.
Oh, I was having fun, mate.
Yeah,
I'd,
right.
I should have gone and seen Ferrari with the old man. That would have been a time.
Bonding experience.
Father and son bonding over Enzo's loss of his own son.
And then you could have
Magnifique,
sat
as
down
the
and talked
Italians
about
say.
your masculinity.
Exactly.
How
yeah.
great.
And fake Italians.
Interesting. Yeah,
Up there in his northern Italian suburb of Melbourne.
that's it. I can't do it. I don't know how to do an Italian accent of Ivanhoe.
Please don't. Please, Jesus.
There was something else I watched, but I can't remember what it was. So it must have
Oh,
been
my
that
Lord.
that good.
Finished
no.
Onimusha. Don't watch it.
Yeah, I believe that.
As
They
expected.
will
yeah.
make Onimusha everything other than another game, which I think they're doing purposefully just to piss off
It's a
Zach.
psyop. Yeah.
The
It's
only thing
fine,
on Onimusha in that series is like the Spirit Gauntlet and nothing else. So I was a little bit.
Yeah,
It
right.
looks nice though.
Cool. Do we want to quickly finish with any news bits do you want to talk about? Because I think there's one that we should maybe just discuss for a couple minutes. I actually completely forgot about this until just then. But the Ubisoft, has someone seen what the Ubisoft guy has said today, yesterday?
Oh yeah, what a fuckwit, eh?
Let me
Sorry.
find the quote exactly so I'm
I
not...
thought I was going to say Stalker 2. I feel left
Oh,
out.
so Stalker 2 is getting a... sorry, Stalker 2 has a release date now of September 5th.
And have they said in a statement somewhere that it's final? Because I'm seeing headlines say final, and I do not believe for a second that's final.
It sounds like they're just polishing it based on what the statement says.
Those
Okay.
games are inherently not to be polished. Like the fans were hanging out for something janky. What are they doing?
I'm trying to find the fucking quote. Here we go. This is from our friends. Okay, GameIndustry.biz. Getting gamers comfortable with not owning their games. But this is actually I think this is just the full blown interview. That's not what I want. Sorry.
Would you like me to read the quote?
If you got it, yeah.
Yeah. This is Ubisoft executive of streaming
of subscriptions. I think it is, yeah, which
like
makes
that?
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. One of the things we saw is that gamers are used to, a little bit like DVD, having and owning their games. That's the consumer shift that needs to happen. They've got to get comfortable not owning, they got comfortable not owning their CD collection or DVD collection. That's a transformation that's been a bit slower to happen in games. As gamers grow comfortable in that aspect, you don't lose your progress. If you resume your game at another time, fucking whatever, who gives a shit? Yada yada. So it's about feeling comfortable with not owning your game. No.
What a strange thing to put out.
Yeah, really, really bizarre. That's something that I definitely understand you say internally, because I think that is a straight up business conversation that you should not be having with your public. Especially because they're launching Ubisoft Plus Premium and Classic subscriptions. Like, who wants this? It's such a bizarre
I don't know anyone who is subscribed to Ubisoft. What I will say that
I
is...
do when new release comes out. That's about it.
I do really? Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's cheaper than paying
you
for
buy
it.
that 1 month,
Yeah.
you finish however many titles, you cancel, go about your day.
This makes sense. Like what he's saying makes sense. Like we had this conversation about what makes sense from a business point versus what we want, right? But this makes sense for them to say this. The argument I would say to him, especially when it comes to movies, there is so much choice for watching movies. Sure, there multiple. Some might be locked to their own platform, like your Disney's and your Paramounts and stuff like that. But then you got Netflix and you got Prime and you got Stan and you got fucking whatever else there is there that all have, like we just heard with Snatch, right? You can watch it on Prime, you can watch it on Stan, it's on Netflix. So there's all these different options, whereas gaming, there's like 2 options really, like Ubisoft,
2 main ones, yeah.
Sorry,
and then Ubisoft trying to become a third.
Yeah, and then so that's probably something.
The EA one is already bundled in with Game Pass, right? Like the top tier of Game Pass.
Yeah.
EA Play.
Cool. And PlayStation Plus.
Maybe
No, some of the Ubisoft bits and pieces are tied to PlayStation, but I don't think it's the full shebang.
No, correct.
Yeah, but it's also the same with music, right? You got Apple Music, you got Spotify, you got Pandora, you got fucking Tidal. There's all these different options.
Music apparently is a viable option now.
So
that's what I've been using.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they've kind of forgotten about that aspect, that it's such a monopolized not industry but service, maybe, if that's what you want to call it.
Yeah.
So there's just
Very,
so
very
many
strange.
pre-existing issues with preservation that are not going to be addressed by streaming. So I think keeping our foot firmly in this camp of physical ownership is a necessity until somebody steps up and addresses that first.
Yeah.
I just think more than anything, you don't need to, regardless of whether it's there or not, you don't need to remind people that you're shitting in their cereal. Like, where we understand that that's where the industry is going. Like, even physical games, like the discs that I own are a fucking licensing agreement, and I'm fully aware of that's what it is. It's a key to unlock something that is it is inherently digital anyway. Like, I'm 100% aware of that. but you don't have to be like, hey buddy, we own you. Like, okay,
Yeah.
you fuckhead. It feels like a Homer Simpson remember you here forever kind of situation. And it's unnecessary.
Have you paid us this month so you can play with your toys, big boy?
Exactly, right? It's just gross. It's just a shitty corporate move that makes no sense.
But yeah, as you would expect, that hasn't gone down too well with the internet. So
Nah.
No. Yeah.
who would have thought, eh?
Yep.
Sure, that'll be a flavour this year.
Well, I look forward to our predictions. Hey, when are we going to do those?
Oh, I've
That'd be
already
fun.
started drafting
Next
them.
week? Do you want to do it next week?
Smart. Yeah, we
Maybe.
should do it next week.
Yeah,
Next
go on.
Let's hit them nice and early.
Maybe we'll do most anticipated next week, and then maybe predictions the week after. Or do you want to do them all?
Let's just
Or we
roll
just
it
do
into
it.
one.
Let's just do one.
Let's
One
go.
big one. All right, let's wrap it up there. Let's go home. Let's call it. All right, thank you for listening to this week's episode of the WellPlayed DLC podcast. It's been great to be back. Great to have you back. Great to see you, lads. If you want to check out any of the content, you can go to www.well-played.com.au. One more big last shout out to SteelSeries for sponsoring the DLC podcast. Check out an Alias mic if you're looking to record yourself. You'll sound great, just like us
We
four.
do.
Except only James looks great. His beautiful lighting and
Yeah.
stuff.
That's not the camera. That's just the skin.
it's just genetics.
Oh,
Yeah. Cool. All right. Thank you and have a great week, and we will see you next week.
Looking forward to it.
see ya.
Well.
Goodbye.